Welcome back to Grit Gym. Grit Gym is a facility in Iowa City, Iowa that deals in durability training. And what I mean by that is we try to get we're training people how to get really strong and really durable. And you're not going to get very far in the strength world if you're not training durability along with it. And a lot of people are walking around with aches, pains, that they're avoiding calling an injury, but that's exactly what they are. So whatever you can do to stay out of pain, pain is a signal that's saying, hey, stop, something's going wrong. It is a signal, it is a message. It is not weakness leaving the body. Now, that does not discredit the grind. The grind is very important, but pain is weakness leaving the body is a garbage saying. Pain is a signal that you need to listen to, and you don't want to be sitting there pushing yourself into pain because that's the opposite of health. And with all this stuff, we have to consider that health is one of the greatest things that we have. Even if you are a professional athlete, you still need to be going for health. So, what's this? What up, Bo? Today I had a question. Somebody was sending me this in direct message. There's between warm-up sets and working sets. Okay, a working set would be the sets that you. Let's go back. Warm-up sets would be like the sets leading up to the sets that you're going to do to actually get stronger. Working sets would be the sets that you're actually considering as part of the workout. So at Grit Gym, you're going to have like a 4x5 or 4x2 with a 1x5. Let's say I just wrote up those two to give real quick at the end to give some examples. A warm-up set, we're going to go a warm-up set. I do this I keep it very simple. So let's say that our working sets. Let's say that our working sets are 80%, 85%, and 86%, 86%. Let's say that that's what we were going to do. So let's say these would be extremely low repetition stuff that we're working on here. So we'd want to be extremely low repetition stuff over here. So this is maybe sets of 2, depending on what week you're on, depending on what exercise you're on, and who you are just like as a person, like your individual details. The devil's in the details on that one. Okay, so your warm-up sets. Well, if we know that it's 80%, and let's say that for you, 80% came out to 200 pounds. Okay, well, we would know that for the first warm-up set that you would do would be 50% of your first working set. That's how I do it. I take 50% of my first working set, and I call that 100. I just do 100 pounds in the first set. Really, like a lot of people just say, just start out with the bar. I agree. Just start out with the bar, call it good, and then move up to 50%. So, but your first warm-up set past the bar needs to be around 50% of your first working set. So if your first working set is 200, you're going to go to 200. You're going to go to 100 pounds. My second working set is going to be 75%. I'm going to use 75%. I'm going to bridge the gap between my first working set. This will feel like a feather. This better feel like a feather or you did it wrong. You want this to feel like a feather. You want this to feel extremely light. You want this to feel like I've got something in my hands, but I can still move it with ease. Okay, that's how this first 3 sets need to go. Even though 200 was your first working set, now you can figure out 85, 86, 86 from there. But that's how I do my warm-up sets. Just 50% of my first working set, 75% of my first working set, and then I go into the working sets. And at Grit Gym, you know, we just started adding this in, was a percentage in there for you so that you can follow along, so that you can do your own math if you're a Move Strong. Otherwise, we do this for you. But in all of our programs and our online programming, this is all added in. It's automated. And Amber's working on something right now that's really cool, where you guys can actually go into the website, into the members area, didn't mean to say it that way, but into the members area, and you can calculate out, and you can do all this stuff so it automates it for you, so you don't have to sit there with the calculator doing all this out. All right, now, I should have put this, let's put this over here more. All right, so what if we were doing like a 4x5, 5 is like if you're doing a 1 rep max, if you're doing a max set with a 5 rep max, and let's say we were going back from that, so like on week 4, that's about 86%. It's about 5 reps. So we would back this off, and let's say that we were on like week 3, where we're probably doing an 81%, and then we're doing an 81%. Let's say we're doing a bench or a squat. You would never do this for a deadlift, and then you do 76%, and then we do 66%. Let's say. I'm not saying this is exactly how this would go, and let's say that we were going to do like whatever your number is here. It's just like we did up here. You wouldn't worry about any of these here. you would only worry about this one for your warm-up sets, and then you would take that and you would take this 50%, so that would be 33%, and then it would be whatever 75% of that is. So it would be just like here. You take 200, 100, 100, and you do the same thing for a 2x2 or a 4x2 with a one set of 5. It wouldn't be any different, but that's how I do it. And the other question this guy had, that's what I was putting those down there below. The other question this guy had was, why would you want to focus on strength up front in your program and not focus on fatigue? Well, fatigue is these are for two different things, and I think they get wrapped up into the same boat. Strength is anything below 6 repetitions, basically. Anything below 8. It's probably like somewhere between 6 and 8 is when we're starting to get into too much fatigue for your body to actually consider that strength. So I would say anything below 6, you're in strength. Anything above 6, you're in fatigue. Fatigue is really good for building muscle, hypertrophy, getting that muscle to get larger. But if we fatigue out up front in the workout, then we lose out on the strength later in the workout. If we focus on strength up front in the workout, then we can get fatigue later because we were already going to accumulate some strength. You guys can't see that on there very well. Anyway, can you? So for 1A and 1B, let's say, I'm not going to try to go for reps of 8, 10, 12. I'm going to keep the rep range at 4 times 2 to 6, somewhere in there, okay, for both of these. I won't go up over, I'll go for maybe 4 sets, maybe 5 sets, maybe more, but for the most part, I'm going to stick in this 2 to 6 rep range for the first 2 because I don't want to fatigue my body out. I don't want to fatigue my body out early in the workout. I want to get strength early in the workout because I'm going to accumulate fatigue regardless. Okay, when I get into my 2A, 2B, even 3A, 3B, 4A, 4B, then I can start doing these 3 of 8 and 3 of 12 things. And really this is 3 and 8 to 12. Now this guy had some good questions. So on pressing exercises versus pulling exercises, I rarely go above 8 repetitions on a pressing exercise. Depending on the shoulder, depending on the individual, depending on the goal, would definitely change this. But I just rarely, I think it's just a better idea if you just go ahead and make that kind of like a loose rule, kind of like a guideline that we're going to stay below 8. And on pulling exercises, I rarely go above 12, like hardly ever. And either of these, I'm kind of saying like basically never. These are hardcore rules, but I think they're good things to go by. Once you start getting up to the 15s, 16s, 20s, we're into a different territory, and most people just don't need that kind of volume for what you're going for, whether you're going for strength or you're going for size. You just don't need it. So that's what I do. I focus on strength. I think most people, depending on the goal, there's probably an anomaly out there. Most people need to focus on strength. You need to focus on strength early in your program, and you're going to accumulate some fatigue as you go anyway. So focus on save your fatigue for later in the program so that you can get all of those qualities. Then you can get your strength endurance here, and you can still get your strength, more neural drive up front and more muscle drive at the end. But anyway, hope you guys got something out of this. I'm going to shut this one down, make this kind of a not so quick one actually. Sometimes I forget that my watch is 10 minutes ahead. But yes, I love that you add the percentages. Thanks, man. Quantifying strength has been like an endeavor for a while. Like, how do we actually get down to the math of this thing so that we can create predictable outcomes? I think it's just I think it's something the fitness industry is really missing out on. I really know of very, very few places that are actually doing the math out as rigorous as we are. But I think if you're not looking at these percentages and you're not looking at quantifying this thing, I think you're guessing. And I know that we're going to be off with the math. Like, no matter what, nobody's ever going to be perfect with the math. And the point isn't to be perfect. The point is to have, instead of being off by a lot, we're off by a little. We're not off by these like huge sums you would be if you go by feel. Because someday your ego's going to get in the way, and you're just going to try to rip it up, even though it wasn't the appropriate weight for you that day. And if you do the math, you're always going to be a little bit off. But you're not ever going to be, hopefully, unless you really screwed up in your math, you're not going to be a lot off. And the lot off is when you get hurt, is when you impede your body. It's where you stress out your body so much that it can't actually come back from the exercise as fast, so you end up losing time. You know, if we accumulate, the more that we volume and time that we can accumulate under that stress, the better off we're going to be. There's a certain amount of, you can make the case that if you are never sore, you will put in more work than someone who gets sore every workout, because that impedes their, like if they get really sore on Monday, even if they work out the other 6 days or 7 days of that, no, 6 days of that week, they're still not going to get as much out of those other 6 days because they can't push their body to the level that they want to. They won't be performing at that higher peak level. And so if you can just coax that gain along instead of forcing that gain along, you're going to get a lot more out of it. But anyway, this is how I do it. This is how we've gotten a lot better results doing it this way than the other way around. And if you want to gain muscle, I still think this is the better way to go, because you're going to get more out of that strength up front, which means that as you progress month after month after month, you're going to get, you're going to accumulate the fatigue anyway, but you're going to add more number. You're going to add a higher, you're going to be able to push and pull more weight in the fatigue section, which again will help you put on more mass. But anyway, that's strength and fatigue and how I quantify warm-up sets versus working sets. Anyway, please like, comment, share. Tell me what you thought. If you guys got something out of this, I really appreciate it when you guys come on here. It's pretty cool. But anyway, I'm going to hop off. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.